What is going on, guys and gals? Brooklyn bound the Raid Scientist here, and today we're going to go over how to complete the Cosmic Equilibrium Challenge in the Root of Nightmares raid. This challenge is done on the third encounter, Zoark, Explicator of Planets. We're going to focus on strategies to help with the Master Challenge, but the challenge basics apply on normal mode as well. Note that I'm not going to go through the mechanics of how to do this encounter normally. If you do need that, I'll link my full raid guide in the description for you to review. So I'm going to assume you know the basic mechanics of this fight. Remember that on Master Mode starting this season, you will be capped at minus 20 power from the enemies, and there are rotating surges that will give you a boost to damage, as well as one overcharged weapon. Since this boss fight has DPS focus, you'll definitely want to focus your surges and weapons around maximizing damage. This week, doing it with Solar Surge, so using a solar DPS weapon was a pretty good idea. In addition, it's not bad to try to match your primary with one of its elemental surges as well to help kill the minor adds faster. Finally, for Master Mode, all of the terrestrial lieutenants that spawn are anti-barrier, so make sure you are spec'd out to stun them. You are going to have to kill a lot of barrier champions, so it's best that everybody in your fire team has a way to stun them. Alright, now for the challenge. For Cosmic Equilibrium Challenge, you need to move all of the dark planets to the left side and all of the light planets to the right side. Now this is opposite of how people typically do it. Remember that before any planets are moved, there are 4 light and 2 dark on the left. And on the right, there are 4 dark and 2 light. In order to move all the darks to the left side and all the lights to the right side, you will need to move 8 total planets. Now, how you can do this will be done a handful of different ways. Essentially, you're going to have 4 players designated as runners, and you'll need to do 2 rounds of planet shifting to move all 8 planets to their correct locations. You can either shift all the planets on the bottom plates the first time, and then all the planets on the top plates the second time, or you can shift 1 from each plate, and then shift the last one from each plate the second time. You only get 2 attempts to shift planets. We found that if you mess up one of the swaps and still manage to try to get that third swap in and shoot the crux, it'll still wipe you. So you cannot mess up the planet swapping at all, otherwise you essentially will need to wipe. The way my team did it was to have 1 player designated for each of the 4 planet plates, and then swap tops and bottoms at the same time, repeating a second time to move everything correctly. For example, here we start off on left with Planet 2 and Planet 5 being dark, and on right, Planet 1 and Planet 6 being light. Since for the challenge we want all the darks to go left and all the lights to go right, we would essentially need to make sure we move planets 1, 3, 4, and 6 from the left side over to the right side, and planets 2, 3, 4, and 5 from the right side over to the left. So, on the first planet swap, the lower left player would take either planet 1 or 3 to the right, and the lower right player would take either planet 2 or 3 over to the left. Then, at the same time, the upper left player would take either planet 4 or 6 to the right, and the upper right player would take either planet 4 or 5 to the left. Then, you'd kill another set of Colossus, and then swap the remaining planets that you didn't swap the first time. As I mentioned, the other strategy is to swap all 4 planets on the bottom plates in the first round, and then all 4 planets on the top plates in the second round. Either way works. Bottom line is you get 2 swaps to move all 8 planets, so you're going to need 4 runners. It's best to help each other kill all the anti-barrier Colossus before jumping down to pick up planets and move them. The 2 players not grabbing planets need to be focusing on all of the adds in the middle, as they will wreak havoc on the runners, especially on the top plates. It's not a bad idea for the top plate runners to either use invisibility if you're on a hunter, or toss some grenades and heavy into the middle to clear out some adds before trying to cross. Once the planets have indexed themselves correctly and you don't see challenge failed, it means you've done it correctly and can do DPS normally as you would. However, keep in mind that the planets are on the opposite of what you might used to when you're running this on normal. Remember this when calling out who's going to grab which planets for the middle DPS plates. As I mentioned earlier, since you're forced to do 2 swaps and then the callouts for the middle plates, you essentially have to kill 3 rounds of anti-barrier champions. So work together and help make sure both anti-barriers on your side are down before into grab buffs and moving planets. When setting up for damaging the boss, I highly recommend optimizing your raid team to try and two-phase him. Stacking surges that match the Master's Rage surge as well, with Well of Radiance and either a Divinity or Hunter tethers to debuff the boss, being very important. Also make sure when you're activating the plates for damage, shoot together as a unit so you can maximize your output and push him past his health gates. It makes it much shorter of a fight, and with little room for error on the planet swapping, you'd much rather two-phase him than have to do a third phase. I will say, if you are struggling to stay alive and do the normal raid mechanics due to focusing your weapons on boss DPS, then you may want to discuss moving to more of ad clearing setups and just going for the 3-phase, if you think that's best. This challenge can be a little tough because there are a lot of mechanics that need to go perfectly, a ton of champions, plus the damage check on the boss. Keep at it, and with these tips you should be able to claim your Adept raid weapon and check off another triumph for the Dream Warrior title and seal. Thanks for watching, Guardians, and until next time.